YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to another track guide for the Advanced MX5 series on iRacing. This week we are at Zandvoort, the Grand Prix track. A nice flowing track, couple of turns that are going to trip everyone up every now and again. Other than that, nice and easy. Let's have a look at the setup and the track conditions. Alright, so taking a look at the track conditions, we have quite low ambient and track temps, both under 20 degrees C, and the classic 50% track usage. Looking at the setup, we have the Daveyskills Zandvoort 21 Season 1, which is just a typo, it was meant to be Season 2. Taking a look into it, nothing too special, absolutely bog standard for me these days. So with that being said, let's look at the Hotlap. Well. So we managed to get a 53.745 there. And I'll be honest with you, I think that's quite a fantastic little lap in these conditions, if you don't mind me saying. So we're going to jump on board now and we're just going to break it down. I'm also going to enjoy my coffee as we go. Crossing the start finish line, we're going to shift up to 5th gear, heading into turn number 1. Braking point for turn number 1. Just push it forward just a few more frames. We have this sign, which I guess, is that the name of the corner? Tarzan Bucht? Tarzan Bucht? Yeah. We've also got this, it's like a pit exit or split line, delta line, I don't know. There's a line, a white and red line that go across the track. Basically, that's where we brake. As you can see, the current frame we're at now, I'm already beginning to lift off the throttle in preparation to brake. We're going to be going all the way down to 2nd gear for this nice banked first turn. So in my mind, it is almost a 180-degree turn. It might be, or it might not be. In all reality, I've got no idea. But that's the way I think of this turn. Normally, a flat 180-degree turn would be, you'd be taking more like a V sort of shape into it in most cars, or you'd be cutting back on yourself, a wide entry, late apex, that sort of action. But because we've got this nice banked corner, we sort of dive into it and keep the car nice and tight, use the banking to make our car stick to the inside of the track, and just get on the power nice and early. It's super easy. Let's just watch it in slow-mo. We're braking very hard, down to 4th, down to 3rd gear. Then we begin to ease our steering towards, to get our car turning into the inside. We're down into 2nd gear, and then we're trail braking, and we're just hugging this curb on the inside. Just a slight little glance at the curb, not much, so you don't want to touch the curb at all, actually. I get a bit lucky there. And as you can see, as I was talking about the curb, I was already on the power. Got on the power so early. If we roll it back here, pretty much as we approach the curb, we're on the power really. If we play it through slow-mo, on the power now, we're full power already, and we can only just about see the exit of the corner. Up to 3rd gear before we fully exit the turn, using all of the track on exit, using this curb on the exit here to maximise your speed on exit. So if we just roll this back and watch it in full speed, look out for the line, bang, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, trail brake, a little bit of coasting, ease the power back on, and we're full power up to 3rd gear using the track on exit. Now into this next tricky section. This right-hander is very, very difficult. Off camber, on the exit, it just, you got grip going in, but then you sort of get thrown out, and then you're immediately on the wrong side of the track for a very difficult tight left-hander immediately after this. So we're gonna watch these next few turns in one. So let's just watch it in slow-mo first. We're in 3rd gear, just gonna clip this curb, and we're gonna lift. Little dab on the brakes. If we just roll it back, as you can see, I actually took 2 bites of the cherry there on the brakes. This is to just get more weight on the front of the car, because when you throw the car into this turn here, as you come off the curb, your car does begin to understeer. So you're just going to try and control the car a bit with the brakes. Try and let the front tires do what they need to do, which is turn. But it's very, very difficult. You just want to sort of make your car slide up to this curb here on the inside. You can see small dab of the brake. We're heading towards the curb, easing the power on. We do glance the curb. In most other cars on iRacing, that would be horrendous for you to do, but because the MX5, it's a road car, isn't it? It's got nice suspension. You can clobber that curb. You can get away with it. It just sort of eats it up, and you keep going. So as you can see at this point, I'm full power, and I'm understeering out wide. Nearly clipped the grass there. Not too bad, because no matter what you do on this right-hander, you are always going to end up here. And there's such a small distance between these two turns. You just want to get through that right-hander we've just been through as quick as possible. It doesn't matter how you get to this point, you just need to get here fast. Don't worry about exit speed, because as you'll see now, I'm already lifting off, I'm already braking. down to second gear, and we're just going to try and hug the inside here. It's very, very difficult this turn. Sometimes when you shift down to second gear, the back end's going to snap on you. So you're going to be trying to control the car, entering the turn, you'll be counter steering, you're going to be losing time. So my advice is to just brake earlier, brake smoother, keep it nice and clean, and just make sure that you get on the power early. Keep it nice and tight to the inside. As you can see, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. We do keep it nice and tight, and the most important thing is we do get on the power early. We're up to third gear already, using this little bit of runoff on the exit to again maximise the speed that we carry out of the corner, and then we're down this flowing straight. So if we watch this back in full speed, again, this right-hander, very difficult. You're always going to end up in a bad position for the next turn, so just get through it fast. It doesn't matter. You're not looking for exit speed. You're just looking to dive through this turn. So turn in, slight dab of the brakes if you feel comfortable doing that. Power on, and then we're braking already down to second gear, keeping it nice and tight on exit, up to third gear, using the runoff, and then we're flowing down this straight. Taking a sip of coffee as we shift to fourth gear, keeping it nice and smooth, and we're going to line up on the very left hand side of the track for a very, very difficult carousel style corner. I do like to just sort of glance the grass here. That's my point when I turn in this little escape road here. So I do like to sort of glance the grass, dab of the brakes, and shift down to third gear here. There we go, there's the dab of the brakes. Little delayed shift down to third gear, don't want to blow the engine, and we're just going to try and keep it tight. On this lap, personally, I do get it very nice. However, I would like to maybe apex a little bit later. As you can see, I'm on the power already, getting ready to shift up to fourth gear. But if we just, slow it down again. I've made a mess of this. Let's start again. So we're turning, we're braking, we're downshifting. Just look how little we brake, just a small amount, about 25%, I'd say, maybe 30 at most. Keeping it nice and tight, getting on the power super early, and getting ready to shift to fourth gear because we're at the correct speed. We're just using the downshift to control the car, and then we're flat at this point. And as I mentioned previously, I apex a smidge too early. It means on the exit, I'm struggling to keep the car on the track. And, it's not, I do still take the corner very well. It's just not ideal the way I took it. So if we just watch it one more time, I'm just gonna pause it just here. At this point, this is where I'm sort of apexing really, or beginning to, I'm heading towards the grass. I'm obviously sliding a bit. Got a nice little slip angle on, but ideally I'd be about half a car width to the left, and I'd be looking to apex more here as opposed to more here as I do on this corner. So again, just something to bear in mind. But lovely stuff anyway. We take it nice, using all the track on exit, and now the three most difficult turns on the track. However, it's not really. It's just three awkward turns, getting progressively more difficult as they go. The first one, we're going to follow the track as it doglegs to the left here. And at this point here, where it cuts back to a straight line, that's basically where we downshift to third, we tap the brakes, and we begin to throw the car onto the curb on the inside. So slight left, brake, downshift. As you can see, just covering the brakes again, trail braking, trying to get the car to turn as much as it can, and then easing on the power as we go over the curb, not stamping on the power, as that will initiate too much understeer. If we were to stamp on the power, we'd probably end up out here, but because we were a little bit smoother, we managed to keep it on the track. And then into the next corner. I hope you can see some tyre markings here, because that's what I use as my braking point. If we roll it back just a few frames, they're in line with this sign. However, that's obviously not in your eyesight as you are at full speed. So just sort of make the mental note, make that connection. these tyre markings here, that's where I'm braking, and we're going to be braking quite hard initially, and then we come off the brakes quite quickly down to about 50–40%, and we're just throwing the car once more to the inside, coming off the brakes. The more we turn, we come off the brakes, and we want to try and get our car to clip this curb on the inside, leaving it in third gear as well, very important. As soon as we clip that curb on the power, that curb will help your car rotate, and you will be forced to come towards the outside of the track on exit, which is going to compromise the next turn. However, not that important if you ask me. Several different lines through here. I do prefer this series of lines. Feel like they flow quite nicely. And now heading into the third of the 3 difficult turns, braking point, you can use this orange end to the barrier, or you can use, there's some tyre markings here. Difficult to describe these in my mind. They just appear. We have some tyre markings in front of us here on one racing line, and then all of a sudden it's like a jump to the left, and we have these tyre markings here. These are what I use where these begin. However, I am positioning my car as far to the right as I can within reason. So boom, braking, again, braking quite hard initially, but then we try and come off the brakes quite quickly and just use trail braking to turn the car. And on this occasion, I got my car nicely hooked up to the curb on the inside. Because of this, if you stand on the throttle, as you as you normally would in the MX5, your car's going to rotate too much. So if we just come back a few frames, what you'll see is I do initially go on throttle quite hard. However, we hold it there and then go full power. This little hesitation, it's just allowed the car to rotate, but then I've held it there so it doesn't over-rotate, and then we go full power to get the car motoring away from the turn down to another series of difficult turns. Now, let's watch this back at full speed and let's try and commentate our way through. So, following the dogleg to the left, braking as it straightens up, covering the brakes, power smoothly as we go over the curb, look for these tyre markings, braking hard, diving into the curb again, powering hard on the curb on that turn, and then watching for the orange marker on the Armco barrier, braking hard initially, trail braking, lining up with the curb, easing on the power, getting that rotation, and keeping it nice and smooth on exit, and then we finally shift up to 4th gear. Now, after those 3 corners, you think it can't get much more difficult, and you're faced with probably one of the most awkward chicane turn complex combinations I've ever experienced. I've never really got my head around this corner. Even when I get it right, I feel like I've got it wrong. But I'll tell you what I do, and it does seem to be quite quick. So this is how we do it. We're in 4th gear. Braking point is this curb here. Just before it, as you see, we brake down to 3rd, braking very hard, down to 2nd gear, and then we begin to come off the brakes as normal. We're trail braking, throwing the car over the curb, easing on the power just momentarily, and then we come off again, coasting, a little bit of brake there. This is something that changes every time depending on the angle here. As you can see, I'm pretty much fully off the track. What this means is I have to turn more than if I were on the track. You know, the corner would be a lot more open and have a nicer angle, so I wouldn't brake as much or at all. I'd just coast. But because I'm here, we're going to use the brakes to slow the car down a little bit and help the car rotate. As you can see, it was just for a moment, and then we're coasting again, and then we're easing on the power. Now, something I've noticed and I've learned here is, if we roll it back just a few frames, I'm already easing on the power, but I'm not going to go full power until we get past this curb here. The reason for this is the car gets far too unsettled if you go full power too soon. However, if you do ease on the power just a smidge, 50%, 60, 70%, I think you can probably go as high as 70, 80%, just not all the way, then you're going to be gaining so much time on your opposition here. It's incredible. This series of corners is so awkward that if you get it right, you will destroy everyone. So as you can see, we're just biding our time, and then bang, full power. And we're carrying this speed then, as we shift up to third gear on exit, we're carrying this speed into the second last turn and ultimately through the last turn. So watching this again full speed, we are looking for the curb on the left as our braking point, braking hard down to third, down to second, trail braking, little bit of power, little bit of brake, easing on the power and then full power now, up to third gear and heading into the second last turn. Braking point for the second last turn is around this sign here, this green and orange sign. There is a line that faintly goes across the track here. However, it's very hard to see. Well, it will be very hard to see once this is all uploaded to YouTube. The quality will be diminished, unfortunately. You can also use this, again, the end of the barrier. However, I'd advise you stick to things on this side of the track, on the left-hand side of the track, on the racing line. We're going to basically stab at the brakes, a little bit of trail braking if we experience too much understeer, and we're really going to cut the inside of this corner. It's actually insane how much you can cut. So if we just look, little stab, not only about 50% there, and we're coasting. We just ease the power on, and then look, I'm just going to pause it here. I am actually going to change the chase cam as well. We are fully off the track, fully, completely nowhere near the track at all. However, this is still legal. You do not get penalised for this at all. So just please bear that in mind, that you can get away with quite a lot here. However, another thing to consider is if you are going to cut the corner like this, you need to be very careful with how you get on the power. If we watch it back in super slow-mo, as you can see, I'm coasting at this point. I'm just sort of weighing up the situation. We're easing on the power, and then we go full power as soon as we know that I'm not going to encounter any problems. Now, the reason I can slam the power down here before I go off track is because I can see my car is rotating too much. I can see that if I am smooth on the power to keep the car more stable on its current trajectory, I will end up far too far right and I'll end up cutting the corner. So I adapt mid-corner, realise this is going to happen, and bang, stand on the power. This initiates some understeer. This keeps us nice and sweetly positioned off the track. However, if you carry a bit more speed into this corner, you are going to need to ease on the power more and more, because it's very bumpy, unsurprisingly, when you're not on the smooth asphalt surface. So just please bear that in mind. Another thing to consider is on exit, if you go into the dirt, it gets very hairy very quickly. This gravel is a nightmare. You may end up spinning. I'd say this is probably one of the most dangerous gravel traps on the game, in my experience. It's very difficult to recover from if you go in the gravel trap there. So let's watch this back again, full speed. Looking for this green and orange board to signal our braking point and turning. And just abusing the track limits there. And then we're just keeping it smooth. Keeping it nice and smooth. We're up to fourth gear. Keeping it, again, nice and smooth. Don't know what else to say other than keep it nice and smooth. And it's a straight shot down to the finish line. Shifting up to fifth just before it. And we cross with a 53.745. I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy the guide and I hope it did help you. If you are after the setup, the blap file, the olap file, or the telemetry data, which is like gold dust, join the Discord. The link's in the description down below. If you did like the video, please like the video. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Subscribe, man. Other than that, catch you guys next week for more track guide goodness. Let's drive!